Hi guys, and welcome to my video. This time I've done some bunk beds. I've actually made these bunk beds for the kids. I wanted something that they couldn't destroy in 5 minutes. Most of the bunk beds that we looked at are all very rickety. If you push on the top bunk bed, it moves quite significantly. It's not very stable. And basically I thought I could do something slightly stronger, slightly more stiff, that doesn't bend around all over the place, and actually make it quite a bit cheaper. Obviously I needed to put a bit of hard work into it, so I decided to design them myself to start with, ensuring I'm getting what I want, and then I made them myself. Now I've not got too many woodworking tools, so I tried to keep it as simple and straightforward as possible and as strong as possible. Right, so let me take you through the design. I do have a full drawing, so you can actually make these bunk beds exactly the same as I've made them if you wanted to. So some of the things I didn't like about some of the bunk beds I've seen are the stairs. In this case, I wanted the stairs, the bottom step, to be further out than the top step, so it's easier for the kids to climb up. So I made these stairs. I've used some doweling across here, which goes from this component to this component, and it's just a drilled hole straight into these components, and that worked really well. And these are actually quite strong. No way of the kids falling out with these here. I think one of the key things with the bunk beds, I've tried to make these out of off-the-shelf pieces of wood that I could get. I didn't really want to start cutting the height or the width. I just wanted to cut the length and use it really. In this case I tended to use just sawn pieces of material rather than sawn and plain, and I think they were good enough. It did need a little bit of going over with a sander, but not too much. So I've got some coach bolts at this location, and basically these bolts hold the frame to the legs. And these are M10s, so they're quite big, quite strong, and all these bolts are doing are pulling this side panel to the leg. The actual weight of the bunk bed and everything else is actually on this cutout. There's actually a cutout in the leg, and this is sitting in the cutout. I put these side panels on. I wanted some side panels, and I did put some back panels on as well. Even though this is pushed up against the wall, I thought it'd look better if it was consistent all the way around. So what I did was I recessed put some cutouts in here in the legs to recess these end plates into, so it's flush at this location. So it's flush here, likewise at the top it's flush and flush. The back panels, you don't need the back panels, but I just thought it was a good idea to put the back panels on. But in this case I didn't actually make them flush, just put them on top of the beam. You can't actually tell because it's at the back. The benefit of not making it flush here at the back is I can get away with the same bolts, the same length of bolt here. I don't need to adjust the bolt length. And what I've done here, I put a slightly bigger hole in the outer because this leg is actually a lot stronger than the hardboard I used for the outer. So I wanted the bolt to be pulling back on this face, not on this face. And this way I can use the same length of bolt front and back as well. I put these beams in, this one and this one. And what you have to do on these beams is you pretty much have to build the frame and then cut this beam to suit, so it's pretty much size on size. And this beam basically allows the kids to put things on here like a shelf, but it's also used to bolt this back too, to make it solid all the way along, so if someone hits the centre it doesn't bend or break because you've got screws going all the way across here. One of the key things with bunk beds, some of the bunk beds, the bottom one looked a bit high, and it didn't seem to be using the space very well. And what I wanted was, I wanted bunk beds where the person on top had the sort of same space as the person below. So I designed it that way. So if we look where the room would be, so in the room the person on the bottom bunk from here to here has got the same space as the person on the top bunk from here to the ceiling. And actually, a fully grown adult can sit up at the bottom and not hit your head, and you can also sit up at the top and not hit your head because you've got the same space. And then I painted it this sort of blue colour. Basically rubbed it all down, primed it, and then painted it. Right, so I've got the actual drawing if you wanted to make these bunk beds. So at this location there's 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, which hold this beam in place. So it's 4 M10 coach bolts by 95mm long. I did have to cut these down. I think I used originally 100mm long with 4 thin washers M10, and I used in all places the nylon lock nuts. I use these because they don't come loose, they don't vibrate loose. You don't want any of these bolts coming loose after. At the outer edges, the outer 4 beams, we've got 16 M10 coach bolts by 110 long, the same thin washers and the same lock nuts. And basically what we've got is this leg and this leg are basically the same, and this leg are basically the same. However, this leg has not got the holes in for the dowel, so it's very, very similar. And that's just a 3D view looking on the bunk beds. They're incredibly strong. I think these are going to be the only bunk beds I ever need. Right, so we go on to sheet 2. This basically shows you the overall size, right from the top to the very bottom. So we're looking at 1.7 meters by just over 2 meters wide. And then the stairs stick out a bit, 430mm, giving an overall in this direction of just over 1.5 meters. That's the sort of space you'd need to fit these bunk beds in. Right, so then I've gone into the detail of these particular parts that you'd need. So basically we've got 2 bed frames. We've got 2 assemblies that look like this. It looks quite complicated to start with, but once you get around the drawing, it's actually quite easy to make. So we've got a beam at the end here, from here to here, which is 910mm long. And then we've got the outer beams from here to here of 2 meters long. And then this is showing the slats. So there's your slat from there to there, and there's 11 slats. Basically putting 5mm holes through the slat only, and then using some wood screws, 5x50 long wood screws. And underneath the slat there's this beam, and the slat screws into the beam underneath. And this beam's actually bonded to this beam. Right, so we took a section through there. We actually see this. So these are the side beams that are bonded to the outer beams. So this is bonded to this. This beam is bonded to this. And this is 50x50. And there's your slat sitting on top. So you've got the 11 slats sitting on top of these 2 end blocks. And they're the holes coming through. So the holes go through the slat only, and then you screw into the block at the bottom. And the slats are 25mm thick. You can get away anything from about 19mm to 25. 19 still would be fine. I've been on these bunk beds and I'm quite heavy, but the slats are closer to 25 that actually came in the size of the thickness of wood. The slat itself is 905 long, so from here to here, and that gives a bit of clearance at the ends of 2.5mm each end. Right, so the slat width is 905. We've got here, the slat width is 100, so from there to there is 100mm, and there's 11 off. Here are the holes that you need to put in, so basically 25mm in, 50mm gap in the middle, 25mm to there. So it's 25 to there, 50 and 25. Obviously you can go back over this and pause it and find out what the dimensions are, just trying to run through them quickly. Then we've got this end beam, and we've got some holes coming through here. We've got this hole here and this hole here. So you've got a hole coming through here, and then you've got the screw coming through here. So there's two screws which come through there. Same here, and same here. Right, so the end holes that go through here, 5mm again, and I used 5mm screws by 100mm long, so quite long screws going through here, and that was quite solid. Didn't really need any more, and that's the spacing: 100, 25, and 23.5 in. Again, that doesn't need to be exact. Right, so we've got this 50 by 50 beam that the slats are sitting on. And in this view, it's telling you the length of that beam. So this is that beam in this view. So the bit that the slats sit on is 1850 long. And obviously that's 50mm that way. So you need two of these for the slats to sit on. And this is telling you the spacing between the slats. So the slats are 100 long with 75mm spacing in between the slats. So what we've got is, we've got this item here is bonded to this item, but it's also screwed. It's also screwed in here, so the screw goes in from this side into this item, and that's what these holes are here. So you've got 11 off by down to 5, and we're using 5 by 80mm long wood screws. So that goes through this hole, which in effect goes through here and into this. And this is showing you the spacing of the holes. So basically what you've got a screw going into the screen at this location, and you've got a screw coming through here and coming through here, which miss this screw here. So you're not going to hit it with this location. Plus basically you've got one screw per slat. One screw per slat holding this in place, and it's also bonded. So it's not going anywhere. And that shows you the gap to the ends, which is 28 either end. There's some holes here, but I'm expecting these to be drilled on assembly. So basically what you want to do is put the stairs in position, and then you push the beam up to the stairs and then drill through the holes in the beam and through this item, and that's these holes here. They're actually counterbored on the other side, and I'll show you that in the 3D view after. Right, so hopefully you'll get all the dimensions. These two end beams, there's some cutouts in them here, and these cutouts are to miss some bolts which come through and some nuts which go on the other end. So this beam's 150 by 47, that's what it came in at. So all of these beams are 150 by 47 wide, and the lengths are shown here. So basically the two end beams have got this cutout in, 60 by 45 at these locations, basically in the middle. Okay, let's go on to the next page. Right, so we've got two off of these items, but basically one of the items doesn't need these two holes. So this is in one of the beams only. The other beam doesn't need these two holes. That's what this is trying to tell you. So this is two of the legs. So this cutout here is for the 12mm thick hardboard that goes on the sides and back. These holes are for the main screws to go through, the M10 screws, and these are the dimensions. So we've actually put 10.5 holes in for M10 screws, so it's quite a tight fit. So basically what you want to do is put the holes in the leg first and then drill down to 10 through these holes and through the next item when you've clamped everything together. And then in the other direction, we've got these cutouts here, which are 20 deep, and therefore your main beams. And it's basically the bottom of this that takes the load. So that's your 150mm cutout for your 150mm beam that's going to go in here. Basically, what you want to do, you want to make this a fraction bigger than the beam itself. So measure the beam. If the beam comes in at 149 and you make this 150, it'll be fine because it'll be sitting on the bottom face. And this cutout that you got here and here, in this view you can see it's aligned. So that's actually this cutout here, which goes all the way across the beam here. So your panel would fit in here, and your beam would go into the page at this location. So we've got this gap here. So from the bottom you got the first 125. From there you got 1200, and then you got another 150 up there, and then we're putting these holes in from that location. Again, it's not critical if that was a millimetre or two out. And then you've got the two other legs, and basically they're the same. It's like a mirror image. So if you look on this view and this view are like identical or very, very similar. But the leg, the cutout's the other way around. So you've got like a left hand and a right hand, a left hand and a right hand leg, but all the dimensions are the same. And basically this wood came in at 95 by 70, and I didn't change it. Probably just tickled it round with a sander. So we need two of these beams as well. Right, let's go on to the next one. This is the one-off beam, and this goes next to the stairs, and this is to hold the other end of the 25mm dowel. That's basically what it's doing. So here we've got a cutout that goes at the bottom, and we've got again some 10.5 holes here. And again, what you do is you put this beam in place, you clamp it in position, make sure it's resting on this surface and resting on this surface. It'll probably rest on one or the other, it doesn't really matter, but make sure it's resting on either that surface or that surface. Clamp it in place and then drill through these holes in through the main beam when it's all in position and it's all straight. And then we've got two holes here. These two holes here, you can put some screws through here, and basically what these do is it stops the dowels from turning or moving. And we've got this other beam, 70 by 95 again, so you can see the size are the same. And we've got two off of these required. These are like the shelf beam, and I've said here it cuts slightly big. They're just to fit tightly on assembly. We've got the two off end plates, and this gives you all the dimensions for the two off end plates, and this is the 12 thickness. Basically you can use hardboard, MDF or something similar. I put these cutouts in to let some light through. Makes it look a bit better as well. These locations, 13 by diameter 5, so all the way across here. These ones are used to secure this back, and the 4 by 30s are used to clear the coach bolts that will already be there. So all the dimensions for all the holes and things are all there. And then we've used 5 by 50 long wood screws through all of these locations. This is the slightly smaller one for the ends, and here we're using 4 off. So it's basically got the same cutouts in, and these are the sizes that you need. And it's the same 12mm thickness. And then we've got the dowels, 2 off dowels required. and this stops them from falling out. So basically it's 1400mm long and down to 25. So the thing to do here would be to buy the dowel, measure across, see what it is, and then make the hole fractionally bigger for this to sit in. Okay. And then we've got the stairs. So basically we've got these are the steps at this location. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. And then we've got, again, some hardboard, 18mm thick. And basically what we're doing is we're bonding the step here to this, bonding it here to this on all the steps. And then we've got a series of holes cut through. I actually put 5 holes in, but I think that was a bit overkill. I think 3 would have been fine, and I've obviously shown 3 on the drawing at each location. Right, and I've also got some handles to put your hands in, and this shows you all the dimensions and things that you would need. This top hole here is actually used. You basically push this into location on the steps. There's actually a couple of millimeters clearance to your 150 beam that would be here. Push it so it bottoms out on this face and on this face, and then basically you put a screw in at this location so it can't accidentally move. So these are all the screw holes you need to put in, and then basically you line these up in between the screw holes. So if you look along here, that's in line with the centre of this. So these holes are in the middle of this. So there's your step itself. So it's 464 by 225 in all locations. And again, we're using 5x50s through here. And we've got the steps themselves from here to here. They're 38 thick, and that's what actually came in. It's actually 38 across there, and that worked quite well. I'm quite heavy, and I've been up and down these stairs quite a bit, and they're fine. They're solid. Okay, let's just go back to the 3D again. So I've just hide the actual mattress. If you look here, these are the holes that you need to drill. So basically what you do is you put the steps in position, you push the step to this beam, then you push the beam to the step. You'd make sure it sits, this item sits on this beam. You clamp that, and then you drill through the holes that you've got for this item and through this item. But you also then need to counterbore the other side, and basically you want to counterbore the other side here and here, so you can get a nut in and make sure this bolt is just under flush to that surface. So then you can use these 2 bolts to pull that beam to this item here. And that's the same top and bottom. Let's just hide that. So you've got that one there as well. I think what I did, I actually made this assembly up first with this in the slats, and then I took this slat off when I came to do these holes. That hole there and that one there is to hold these beams in position, so you can put a screw in there and into this item to stop this from moving. However, on mine it was actually quite a good fit in here. I didn't actually need these screws. Okay, right, I'm going to show you some photographs next.